All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started with our presentation. So welcome this afternoon to the BA Psychology transfer presentation for the School of Social Sciences. My name is Kurt Hessinger, and I'm one of the academic advisors here for the School of Social Sciences. So again, welcome. Congratulations on being admitted to UCI and to actually being a part of the School of Social Sciences. So just to give you kind of a brief overview, what we're going to be doing for the next half hour or so, we're going to have a presentation regarding everything related to social sciences, the Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology, some other important information and resources. And then after that, we're going to have a live Q&A session with our academic advisors. So if you can keep your questions until the end and wait until we tell you that we're going to start the Q&A, that would help us kind of filter through the questions a little bit easier at the end. So we're going to get started. All right, so the basic breakdown of what we're going to be talking about this afternoon is first, I'm going to introduce Patrick Del Rosario. He's going to introduce himself, actually, from our Social Sciences Academic Resource Center, and he's going to talk about the many opportunities for our undergraduate students that our Resource Center has. Then we're going to be moving through some of the graduation requirements, our social science requirements, and how that relates to your major here in social sciences. We'll talk a little bit about the Cognitive Sciences Department and the opportunities they can provide to you. Then we'll get into more specifics regarding your major requirements, maybe some minors and elective units that you might want to be taking as well during your time here at UCI. Changing majors or double majoring, we'll talk about that opportunity as well. And then we'll talk about our Student Affairs Office and how our office and our academic advisors and peer academic advisors can help you along the way as well. And then we'll have a few resources we'll recommend to you, some important dates and deadlines that are upcoming, and then we'll have our live Q&A session. All right, so at this time, I'm going to turn over to Patrick, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the opportunities for the Social Sciences Academic Resource Center. Patrick, it's all yours.
Great, thank you, Kurt, and welcome everyone. So as Kurt has mentioned, my name is Patrick Del Rosario. I am the program coordinator for the Social Sciences Academic Resource Center. And again, thank you for joining us today so that we can talk a little bit about the SARC and what we do. So essentially, what is the SARC? It is a place within School of Social Sciences, and it's a unique area that helps you directly with anything that's going to be outside of your academics. So things that you're going to be working towards in your post-baccalaureate goals. So if you're thinking about going into graduate school, or if you're looking for scholarships that are going to be on campus, we're definitely the ones that can help you through the graduate school application. And we can also help you kind of apply to those different scholarships that are going to be available within the School of Social Sciences, or even some of the scholarships that are going to be offered with the Office of Financial Aid. In addition, we also help students find lots of different internship opportunities and research opportunities. UCI is going to be one of the best research places, or one of the highest ranked research universities that you can attend. And it's definitely one of those experiences that you want to try to be a part of. So we can walk you through the process of building relationships with faculty and learning how to get prepared for research. We also have a list of many different campus leadership opportunities that are going to be available to you. So within our office, we also employ students to be a part of our peer consultant team who are going to be helping other students with this entire process as well. And we oversee a lot of other campus leadership opportunities, such as our Dean's Ambassadors Council, which is essentially used to build a sense of community between yourself and students and staff and the faculty within social sciences. And we also have our first generation first quarter challenge, which some of you may actually be able to participate in this next upcoming year. Essentially, it is a program that helps you integrate into the university for first generation students. So if you're trying to think about ways to hit the ground running and make sure that you're prepared for the next academic year, that is definitely a program that you might want to look out for as you move forward into throughout the summer. So the question is, how do we actually help you through all of these different things? Well, the first thing that we do for sure is just the one-on-one consultations. So if you do have a resume that you want to look over before you apply for a job or any kind of internship, we're definitely open to having you come and talk to us so we can look over that entire process for you. And then throughout the entire graduate school application process, when you're writing your personal statements, writing your CVs, or need to ask for letters of recommendation, essentially that's where we would be helping you out through that process. And then in addition to that, we also run a series of different workshops. So throughout the entire summer and up into the academic year, we'll be running several different workshops that are going to be based around our different services. So for example, in the next upcoming weeks, we'll talk a little bit about how do you actually prepare your personal statements for the graduate school applications, because typically the graduate school applications are going to be due in December. So it is something that we do on a regular basis. If we get the chance to actually go back on campus, and I think we're actually planning to, We are located right across from the Student Affairs office. So we do have a general study space where people can use computers and printing services. And it's much closer to where all of your general classes are going to be held. So you don't have to go all the way to the library to do so. And in the event that we're actually able to start distributing some things, we're also the place on campus where you can get free bagels every single Friday. So it's a really cool place. You can come and talk to me, or the program coordinator, or you can talk to Carissa, our director, and we're going to be available throughout the entire summer. So our hours are going to be Monday through Fridays from 9 to 5 p.m. You can find more information about us on our website here, and you can learn a little bit more about the services that we provide a little bit more in deeply. And if you do want to contact me, feel free to also send me an email directly, and I'd be glad to help you out. So welcome, and I hope you have a good time today.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, great. Like I said, I can't say enough about our Academic Resource Center and all that they do for undergraduate and graduate students. So definitely take advantage of it. It's a one-of-a-kind opportunity here at UC Irvine as a School of Social Sciences major. So definitely stay in contact with them. All right, so what we kind of want to cover now is kind of some brief information about the basic graduation requirements that all students need to meet in School of Social Sciences in order to receive a degree. So the first thing that you see at the top is that all students must take all of the School of Social Sciences math courses and major courses for letter grade. So that's very important as you kind of start enrolling in classes for upcoming quarters, is to make sure that you're always taking those courses that are related to math requirements and major requirements for a letter grade option. The next part is actually for all students at UCI is that every student, regardless of major, has to complete at least 180 quarter units in order to receive a degree from UCI. So what that means is there's a chance that you, as a Bachelor of Arts Psychology major, that you might be short some of those units as you kind of move through the major. Like if you finish all of your major requirements, you might find that you have some units left after that to still reach 180 units. And if that's the case, then you have options of taking elective units and things like that. But the key is you have to hit that, at least that mark. You can definitely go over 180 units, but you definitely have to hit that mark to be able to receive a degree. The next part down below that is basically talking about the maximum units that a transfer student can transfer into UC Irvine, and that it relates to 105 quarter units. So all transfer students are limited to 105 quarter units, and that really breaks down by semester. Like if you're coming in from a semester college, is 70 semester units equates to 105 quarter units. And once you've reached that limit, that means you can no longer receive units to go towards the 180 units required to graduate. So it definitely doesn't include advanced placement. It doesn't include International Baccalaureate exam credit. So if you have that in addition to what you're doing, then that could be added onto it. But actual college transferability courses is 105 quarter unit max limit. And then the last part there is basically the minimum GPA. And we all realize that you have aspirations of getting higher than a 2.0 and doing the best work that you possibly can here at UCI. But in order to receive a degree at UCI, you have to have at least a 2.0 overall GPA and a 2.0 within your major as well. Okay, so the next few slides are kind of going to relate to 4 specific topics. So the first one we're going to talk about are UC requirements, and those are the same no matter what UC campus you attend. So whether it's UC Irvine, UCLA, they all have the same UC requirements. The next part we're going to talk about is more related to UCI general education requirements, and we'll talk about how that factors into your degree requirements as well. Then we'll get into your School of Social Sciences requirements, and then also more specifically into your major requirements as well. All right, so the first thing at the top that you see for UC requirements is UC entry-level writing. And we find that almost all, and pretty much all students that are transfer students have this satisfied as long as you have at least one transferable English composition course. So if you have that you're pretty good. I think all of you will have that satisfied. The next part is American History and Institutions. And that's something that some of you may have and some of you may not. It depends on what college you've gone to, what courses you've taken, and things like that. So American History Institutions for UC system requires that students have one US history course and one US government course. So there's a possibility that you could have taken maybe one of those classes at your previous college, or both of them, or maybe you didn't take any. But you can actually satisfy that here at UCI if you need to. And we give you 2 options to do that. The first one is taking a year-long sequence in US history, which is history 40 A, B, and C here at UCI with a grade of C or better. Or you can take one course in US history which is History 40A, B, or C, and then one U.S. government course, which is Political Science 21A, and with a grade of C or better as well. So we're not really sure yet until UCI Admissions evaluates all of your transcripts where everyone's going to be at, but by fall quarter, we should have a better understanding of do you have it all satisfied, or do you need one of them, or do you need both of them? So maybe in your head, you know that you've taken those classes, which is nice, and then we'll have an answer for sure, by the beginning of fall quarter. Now, the other aspect of this as well is that some of you may have taken these courses via, a U.S. high school. If you've done that, then it may be in your best interest to actually send an official high school transcript to UCI Admissions as well, so they can confirm that completion as well. So that's something to consider if you think you might have done this in high school. Okay, so the next part we're going to cover is our UCI general education requirements. And this basically is the same for all students. So every student has to have major requirements, general education requirements, and units to graduate. So as you can see here, there are 8 specific categories for general education at UCI. The first part is writing, which is a total of 3 classes. And 2 of those 3 classes are lower division writing classes. And to put that in perspective, we have basically a numbering system of 1 to 89 would be lower division courses, and then 100 to 189 are considered upper division courses, just to let you know how that numbering sequence goes. Then we have science and technology, which is category 2, and that's 3 courses as well. And those would be courses like biological sciences, chemistry, physics, earth system science could be an example as well. Then we move on to social and behavioral sciences, and that's 3 courses as well. However, as long as you remain a major with us in the School of Social Sciences, then this category would be satisfied through your major requirements. And then we move on down to category 4, which is arts and humanities, 3 courses again. And these courses would be like African American studies, philosophy, history, dance, drama, just to give you some examples of courses in this area. Then we move down to category 5, which is quantitative literacy and formal reasoning, which is covered by the School of Social Sciences math requirement. And we are going to go through that option in a couple of slides as well, so you'll understand that a little bit better. And then category 6 is language other than English. And every student has to go through the 1C level or its equivalent at UCI to satisfy this requirement. So there's a chance you may have satisfied it in high school if you've done 3 years of the same language with a C or better, or maybe you've taken some language other than English courses via your previous college. So some of you may have this satisfied already. Some of you may still take that here at UCI. And then we move down to category 7, which is multicultural studies. And that's 1 course as well. This is actually more of a ethnic studies course. So courses like African American studies, Asian American studies. We have some sociology courses as well that would fall under multicultural studies. So that's a 1 course commitment there. And then category 8, the final category, is international global issues. And that's 1 course as well. And those are courses that focus more on global issues. So it could be like the history of China or Canadian politics or something that's more outside of the US. All right, and that's all of the general education categories, but down below, which we're going to talk about in the next slide, some of you may have UC IGATE certifications, or you might have UC Reciprocity if you transfer directly from another UC campus, and we're going to explain that right now in the next slide. Okay, so IGATE and UC Reciprocity. So the key thing with IGATE is that it is a community college certification. So it's not something that the UC requires for admission. It's not something that we are asking students to have, but we can't certify it either because it isn't a UC certification. It is directly a California Community College certification. So it is something that you need to go back to your home campus and actually request that from your college. It's not automatic that it appears on your transcript either. So it's one of those things where even if you've requested a transcript, if you did not specifically ask for UC IGATE to be certified either on your transcript or in a separate certificate attached to the transcript, there's a chance that we may not have received that yet. And that's something that you want to talk to your community college directly about to ensure that they sent that. Now, you definitely want to actually have that sent via electronically to UCI admissions, but that's really the only way that we can certify you once they get it and evaluate it. So that's key for the process. Now, the other aspect of this is UC Reciprocity. And UC Reciprocity is something that's handled directly from another UC campus and serves as kind of like an IGATE, but it's basically a letter from another UC campus indicating that you've completed their general education requirements. And that letter would also be sent to UCI admissions. And that way we can view it to certify if you've completed that. And as I mentioned, definitely have it sent to electronically to UCI admissions, preferably, before fall quarter begins, because that allows us a chance to tell you, okay, yes, sure, I get you certified, we received it, and then there's no ongoing guessing as far as like what requirements you still have left to complete. And then all transfer students, regardless of IGATE or upper division writing, have to do an upper division writing course. So an upper division writing course has a W after it. So an example of one would be like Psychology 146 MW. So anything with that W at the end of it designates it as an upper division writing course. All right, so the next couple of requirements here are School of Social Science requirements that all students within the School of Social Sciences need to complete in order to receive a degree. So the first part that you see there is a mathematics requirement, and we have kind of four different options, or actually three different options there. Now, the key for this is that many of you may have already satisfied part of this requirement. It really depends on what you've taken from your previous colleges. Now, we find in our past experiences that many students typically have at least a semester of stats completed. If that's the case, that would equate to stats 7 on our slide that you see there, right? And so if you've done that semester of stats and that's all of the math that you've completed for transfer into UCI, then you would still need to complete more math requirements here for your majors in Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. So you can see there with stats 7, if you did a semester of stats, you have the option of taking math 2A and 2B, right, which is calculus, but that does require placement into those classes, right, if you want to do that. Or you can take the social science 10A, B, and C as well, which doesn't require any placement, and it's more of a year-long sequence in probability and stats in social sciences. Even though you have a semester of stats, you would still take the whole sequence because it is taught differently and it is a year-long sequence. So those are the options for the Bachelor, the BA in Psych major. The BS in Psych major, or Bachelor of Science, has one requirement that everyone has to complete, which is Psych 10A, B, and C, right? So that's across the board for everyone. And then our Bachelor of Science major in Cognitive Sciences has a little bit more extensive math requirement, and students need to complete Math 2A, 2B, which is calculus, in addition to Psych 10A, B, and C as well, right? And then all these courses do have to be completed for a letter grade option, since they are math requirements for the School of Social Sciences. So most of you will probably have to take some more math when you get here to UCI, so prepare for that in advance, right? It's not something that you should wait off on. It's definitely something I would enroll into right away as soon as you can in the fall quarter. So if you're going to take the social science 10A, B, and C as your math option, I would take that in the fall, take 10B in the winter, and then take 10C in the spring in that first year. That way you're done with that math requirement at that point for the BA Psych major. All right, and the next category that we have for School of Social Sciences is the computer technology requirement, and students have to complete one course in this area as well. So if you're doing the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, you have some options there. You have Social Science 3A, which is the most common option because it's offered for all majors in the School of Social Sciences. There's also an ICS 31 course, which is a computer science programming course, but this course is taught by the computer science school here at UC Irvine, so it is a little more challenging to enroll into. Or you can also do the Psych 14M class, which is also taught by the School of Social Sciences, but for psychology majors. So that's an option as well. So your two best options will probably be Social Science 3A or Psych 14M for that requirement. Now, if you're doing the Bachelor of Science in Cognitive Sciences or the Bachelor of Science in Psychology, you have the same choices. The only difference is you would take that for a letter grade only because those would be considered major requirement courses. And so you would make sure you take that for a letter grade option for that requirement. All right, so the Department of Cognitive Sciences. So at UC Irvine, there's multiple, you can see that we have multiple psych majors, right? Multiple coverages within those majors. But the common denominator for all of our majors in cognitive sciences is the fact that they focus on the cognitive behavior, complex decision making, computational modeling of behavior, cognitive neuroscience. So you're getting a much more scientific approach to the study of psychology within the School of Social Sciences. And that's how our faculty researchers, that's what they do. That's what they study on a daily basis. So the courses that we offer reflect that as well. So you'll see courses like Intro to Human Memory, Perception and Sensory Processes, Brain Disorders and Behavior, Language and the Brain. So those are just some of the sample courses that you might be taking as one of our majors in social sciences as a psychology major. But like I said, you're getting that more of that internal scientific study approach to this for the study of psychology here in social sciences. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to see some opportunities as well. We do have an honors program here in the Department of Cognitive Sciences. What separates this from some of our other honors programs is that it is a 2-year program, so it is a little bit more extensive for that. So that's something to plan ahead for if you're thinking about doing an honors thesis or you want to do more advanced study in experimental labs. And there is a GPA requirement as well for that. But that is something that you're going to want to maybe figure out depending on how long you're going to be staying here at UCI, because it is something you want to jump on as soon as you can if you think you might want to do that. And then we'd also have an honor society, a Sci-Fi honor society as well within the Department of Cognitive Sciences. Okay, so the next 3 slides are kind of going to represent the actual requirements for our majors in the School of Social Sciences for psychology. So on the right-hand side, you're going to see a degree check. That's a sample degree check there, and it includes, it's blank, obviously, but it's going to show you courses that are required for the specific requirements for each major. You're going to get something like this via email later in the summer when one of our advisors contacts you for enrollment. And some of you are going to have some of these requirements already satisfied, and you're going to know that in advance, but we're just going to run through all the requirements so you have an idea of what you need to take. So the first part that everyone needs to have is the Psych fundamental sequence, which is Psych 9A, 9B, and 9C. You see that at the top, and that's our Psych fundamental sequence. So many of you will have maybe 1 course, some of you might have 2, but all of you will have to take the Psych 9B course, which is this course for sure. So many of you will have to take at least 1 course in this sequence. Some of you might have to take more depending on what you're transferring in from another college. Then there's also introductory courses for a BA and Psych major, and there's 2 courses required in this area. And you can see there's courses like anthropology, there's sociology, political science, geography, and every student needs 2 courses in this area. And those are maybe a couple of courses you may have taken too from your previous college as well. And when we evaluate your transcripts, we'll have a better idea about that. Then we move down to the psychology core requirements, and that represents number 12 right here. And you can see here that we require 4 classes, and you have about say 8 or 9 course choices in the psychology core area, but you choose 4 of those classes. So that tells you how many, what your options are right here. Then we move to the psych module area, which is the number 13 down here. And on the left over here, you can see the various areas or modules that we have in psychology. We have a research methodologies, a general psychology module, perception and sensory processes, learning and cognition, cognitive neuroscience, and interdisciplinary studies. So every student has to have 3 classes within 1 module in that numbering sequence, and that would be in number 13 down here. And then we also have 5 additional psych elective courses, which are right over here, which students will be taking as well. And those can be additional courses outside of your major, that you haven't taken in other areas. Like, for example, if you've used courses over here and here, these would be additional psychology courses within psychology under the School of Social Sciences. And then we put a little note down here because there was a change in the major for the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, where students can sub in the extra perturbation psychology course in place of our experimental psych and lab requirement. So that's why you see the 5 additional psych elective courses here, because many students might decide to actually sub that out because it's no longer required for a degree requirement within the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. All right, so moving on to our Bachelor of Science in Psychology. Now you're going to see some changes within this major because it is still psychology, but our BS psychology major has much more of a biological and physics and chemistry kind of influence. It's a lot more modern scientific approach to the study of psychology. And you're going to find that maybe some of these courses might, you can parlay those into maybe something like for medical school requirements, preparing for that, that's a possibility. Or if you want more of that science background, you're going to see a lot more science heavy courses in addition to your psychology courses. So at the top, you're going to see the same psych fundamental sequences, which is Psych 9A, 9B, and 9C right here. You're also going to have the stat sequence that we talked about earlier, Psych 10A, B, and C, and that is required for the Bachelor of Science major. Then you're going to move on down, and you notice that there's a logic course required as well. And we have 2 choices for that. You can take LPS, Logic and Philosophy of Science 30, or Logic and Philosophy of Science 31. That's 1 course there. Then you move down to the science background area, which is C right here. And students have to have a total of 6 science background courses within the Bachelor of Science major in psychology. You'll see the course choices that you can choose from right here. So there's some bio, physics, chemistry that you can choose. So there's 3 in this section. Also in the additional science area, there's another 3 courses, and then you can see some other course choices as well. And these are separate from each other. So you need to take 6 unique courses between these 2 requirements. Then we move down to the psychology core area, which is very similar from the Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. And you choose 4 psych core classes and you get your course choices right here. And that would be right in this area for E. Then you also have the psych module, and the modules are very similar to what you'd have in the Bachelor of Psych major. You have to have 3 of those in the module area. Then you also have to have 3 experimental psych lectures and lab courses. So this does vary from the Bachelor of Arts Psychology major. Basically, you need to have 3 of those within this major. And these are like 4 units for the lecture, 2 units for the lab. So these are about 6 units each for those courses. Then we move down to the additional psychology courses, which is in this area in H. And these are 4 additional psychology courses that you haven't used in any other requirements for the major. All right, and then our last major that we have that's psychology related is the Bachelor of Science in Cognitive Sciences. And this major varies a lot more between the two. You're still going to see some heavy in the science areas, but what you're getting out of this major is more of the actual research area that a lot of our faculty members focus on. And if you're thinking about getting a PhD in the field of cognitive sciences in the future, might be a good prep for that, but that's really what it was designed for. But you're going to see a lot more specific classes within this major. You're going to see a lot more like Psych 9A, B, and C, that's the same, right? But you're also going to have more math. You're going to have Math 2A, 2B plus the Psych 10A, B, and C, so it's much more math intensive. You're also going to see some more computational lab type courses. So we have our Cognitive Science 106, 107, 108, and these get into more of the cognitive modeling, neural analytics, things like that. Those have more specific requirements as far as relating to computing skills. Then you're going to move into the research seminars that we have, which is 109. You have another computer programming class, which you talked about earlier in that area. And then you're going to have a research methods as well. And that's going to be some lab courses as well, similar to the other classes that we talked about, but you'll have a little more different types of courses within those areas. Then you move over to your courses in biosci physics and computer science. You'll see the differences are the courses are a little more expanded. You'll have some math courses in there, some computer science courses in there, some upper division stats courses in there. So a little bit more course choices and a little bit more related to more of the computational areas. Then you get into the D areas, you can have your Cog Sci core courses, right? And you have some choices in this area down here in this section. And then you have core electives right here, which is an additional 7 classes. And you get a choice from the list here of courses. And as you can see, some of those are also computer science courses as well, in addition to some other classes within the School of Social Sciences. All right, so that kind of completes the 3 majors that we have. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more of an idea of what options that we have. I know we're presenting and all of you are coming in as a Bachelor of Arts Psychology majors, but it's important to know that we do have 3 distinct majors in the School of Social Sciences within psychology. So the next slide we're talking about is more like for personal interest, right? So for minors, many students decide to do something in addition to their majors. That could be something like, you could do a history minor, you could do a criminology minor. It's about 7 or more classes in a particular area, but it's not the full major in a class, and it's not required either. So it's not something you have to do, but maybe you find that you have a personal interest and maybe you either don't have the time to do a full other major, or you just want a little flavor of something else. That might be a possibility. You can always kind of open up to us in the academic year. We can talk to one of the advisors and we can actually add that to your degree works audit so we can start keeping track of a minor if you're interested in doing that. The other option is if you need additional units for the majors, then you can take elective credits as well, which could be within your major if you like, or it can be outside. So we talked about that a little bit earlier as far as how units, you might not reach the 180 with all of your major classes. And if that's the case, then you would have additional elective courses to go take as well. Okay, so the possibility of changing your major and or doubling major, so depending on what you want to do. So there is a possibility that some students may be able to change their major or even double major in the time frame that you're given as transfer students. So the key is the time frame, right? So transfer students are allowed 9 quarters to complete all of their degree requirements, no matter how many majors. And that's basically 3 years that you have from the time that you started UCI for those 9 quarters. Some of you that want to graduate in 6 quarters, then that's even less time. So, but we want to tell you what the maximum quarters that you have here at UCI as transfer students. Now, if you want to change your major or double, there's always going to be some extra courses that you have to complete, and there's always going to be a certain GPA requirement that needs to be met in order to either change your major or double major. So that's the key, is understanding that it does take time to meet requirements to either change majors or double major at UCI. And also knowing that just completing the change in major requirements and meeting all the requirements doesn't always guarantee that you're going to be able to change majors, but you would at least need to do that to be eligible to apply for another major, right? And so you see there too, we always put down satisfying minimum GPA requirements, completing specific courses, then obviously maximum unit limits. Sooner rather than later, if you're deciding to go down this path, because let's say you wait 2 years into your 6 quarters and then you decide, oh, I want to change majors or I want to double major now. Well, that's probably not going to happen if you wait that long because of the time frame that you have to do things here at UCI for 9 quarters. And then if you want to go to the website at the bottom, changeyourmajor.uci.edu, that's going to give you all, the website's going to give you all the majors at UCI and what it takes to actually meet the minimum requirements to actually apply for the major. So definitely go to that website if you have questions about other majors and what the major requirements are to get into that major. All right, so our student affairs office. So as you can see, we're a pretty fun bunch by the photo right there. So if you don't know it already, this is kind of the anteater symbol right here that we make. So we're all doing that in our photo. So if you don't know it now, you will later. I'm pretty sure of it. The good thing about us is that all 8 of us as full-time advisors are UCI alumni. So we've all gotten our degrees from UCI at different points in time. So we know the campus really well. We can provide you with a really great perspective on what UCI life is like and academic advising. So that's nice to have. But even more important than that is that we have 8 to 12 peer academic advisors as well who are students just like you are. And they're trained extremely well by Estella, who's one of our advisors. And they're trained on all of our majors. They know everything about all of our majors. They represent most of our majors in social sciences as well. And they're going to be a really good resource for you for the next couple of years because they're students just like you are. And some of them are also transfer students too. So they can share their experiences as being a transfer student and how that factors into life at UCI as well. But you're going to see them doing like your virtual Zooms. You're going to see them do videos that we're going to be posting. We're going to, if we come back in person, as far as in-person advising, they would be here. So you're going to get to know our peer advisors really well over the next couple of years. So definitely a resource I highly recommend taking advantage of because they're even better than us because they're taking the classes right now. Right. And then you can see our office, our location up there as well, our website, and then our email address if you have questions. All right. So how to communicate with our office. So there's 2 ways. For right now, which is summer, right, from this point to the end of September, what you're going to do is use the transfer admin at socsci.uci.edu. Use that email address to communicate with our office for the summer. That's the way that we're going to communicate with you, and then you can reply back to us with questions as well. The key is make sure you use your UCI email address when you're emailing us at that address, because you all have an activated UCI email address, and that's how we can identify you as a student at UCI as well. Make sure you put your full name in the email, your UCI ID number, because that helps us kind of help you with the process as well. And then give us at least 2 business days to respond because we do have a lot of new students coming in the social sciences for the upcoming fall quarter. So it might take us a couple of days to get to all the emails, but definitely for the summer, use the transfer admin email address to communicate with our office. Now, once fall quarter begins, then you have some additional options to contact our office as well. And obviously we still have email, but then you can also email one individual academic advisor if you want. We always highlight the one because we don't want students emailing all 8 advisors with the same question because it only takes one of us to reply. So it helps us get to you faster. So you can pick one advisor to email in our office, or you can send an email to our SOCSCI account, which is socsci@uci.edu. That's another way you can email us as well. We're also going to have phone hours during the fall quarter as well, and we're going to post those on our website. So you're going to see a time where an academic advisor will be answering phones. You can answer your questions that way. If you happen to call when we're not picking up the phones, definitely leave a voicemail. Include your full name, your UCI ID number, and then we'll call you back as soon as we are back on the phone. Right? We also have live chat as an option, which has worked really well. It's really great for quick questions. So if you have a question you want to ask an advisor in a quick live chat, we have that option. It's not really designed for scheduling options or schedule planning because it takes more time to do that. So if you have quick questions, live chat is a good option, and we'll post those on our website. We're also going to have Zoom appointments as well, available from between week 2 and week 10 of each quarter. And we're also going to have that form on our website once fall quarter starts. So you can actually request a Zoom appointment as well. But the key is summer, use the transfer admin email address at the top there. That's going to be our main communication with you for the summer between now and the end of September. All right, so you say resources, you see we have a lot of resources just outside of our office that for undergraduate students. And just to name a few, we have the Learning and Academic Resource Center, we have the Counseling Center, we have the Fresh Basic Needs Hub for food, the LGBTQ Resource Center. These are just a few of the great offices that we have at UCI and such great dedicated staff to help you out. And it's nice to have those offices at your fingertips. So whenever you have a question, maybe it's not related to academics, there's an office on campus that can assist you with that question. And you can see here, there's a lot of choices. We highly encourage you to reach out. Now, that most of them do virtual office hours and possible appointments and workshops and things like that. So definitely take advantage of the resources. And we can also help you out with that too, through, once you meet with us, we can actually connect you with certain offices as well. All right, so what's coming up next? So some key important deadlines. Well, hopefully everyone who's on today has already registered for transfer advising, and you would have already received an email from transfer admin. And so hopefully you've seen that email and you've actually replied to it and registered. But if you haven't done it yet, please make sure you do so by June 18th or no later than June 18th by 5 p.m. In fact, if you haven't done it today, when we're done with this, go and do it right now, right? And make sure you get that done, because that's going to be the key for you enrolling into courses for the fall quarter, right? Because once you register for transfer advising, then you're going to get an email for your Canvas modules and you have to complete that by June 24th. And those Canvas modules are going to be things that teach you how to use the enrollment system, what more in-depth coverage about your major and things like that. So that Canvas module completion is important as well, because after that, between June 28th and July 8th, you're going to have your holds lifted for registration, and you're going to get an individual email from one of our academic advisors regarding course recommendations and things, a degree check that shows you the progress within the major thus far. But you can't get to that point unless you register for transfer advising and you complete your Canvas module. So make sure you get on that. Do it today if you haven't done it already once we're done with our session today. Right? And then once your hold is lifted, enroll in classes as soon as possible. Don't delay. You want to make sure you get all of your classes that are there and available fall quarter before they fill up as well. The other two deadlines that you're going to see there are more campus deadlines. The first one is more of a UCI admissions official transcript deadline. That's July 1st. So that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. So make sure you get all of your transcripts that need to be submitted to UCI admissions. Get those in, submit them electronically so you don't have a hole put on your record there. And then the final deadline there is the fall quarter fee payment deadline, and that's September 15th at 4 p.m. That's very important as well, because if you don't pay fees by that time, you'll get dropped from all of your courses, and then there's no guarantee you'll be able to add back into those courses because they might be full. So definitely pay your fees on time. All right, so that kind of does it for our presentation. And what we're going to transition into now is our live Q&A with our academic advisors. So how we're going to handle this is you're going to put your questions into the Q&A box, and then our advisors are going to look at those questions, and we're going to try to answer them verbally if we can. That way everyone benefits from the answers. Make sure your questions are more general. We can't really get too specific with confidential information, so it is a live webinar. And please only send your question once. So that helps us, kind of filter through the questions a little bit faster for you. So at this point, we'll give you the opportunity to put your questions in the Q&A box, and then we'll answer them as quickly as we can.
All right, so hi everyone, my name's Sarah, and I'm another one of the academic advisors here with the School of Social Sciences. So I'm going to be helping out to answer your questions this afternoon. So it looks like we have one question already. So it's just a question about requesting IGATE certification. So if you're requesting IGATE, it has to come from your community college. Generally, the way it works is a community college will have their own system for students requesting IGATE. For some, it's like a form. For some community colleges, they ask you when you order an official copy of your transcripts to check a box, and they'll include IGATE. And then for some community colleges, it could just be you need to email one of their advisors. So if you live far away from your community college, you don't necessarily need to go there in person. You can use their online request system to have it sent directly to UCI admissions. Whether or not your community college does that via mail or electronically also depends on your community college. If you can get it sent electronically, that's the best way to do it. But we understand if the community college can only send it via like US mail. Follow-up question on IGATE. So this one's from Lillian. She's asking if IGATE is only available for California-based students, or can out-of-state students request it as well? So IGATE is only for students who've gone to a California community college. So if you attended a university or a community college outside of California and you never went to any community college within the state of California, then you unfortunately would not be eligible for IGATE. If you did a mix, so like if you went to some universities or community colleges outside of California, but you did attend a community college here in California, you might be able to ask your California community college to review your coursework from your other colleges and then see if they will give you IGATE based on that review. But like I said, if you're like completely out of state student, then unfortunately IGATE wouldn't work out for you. And what we'll do is we'll go through your coursework and we'll evaluate it and try and match up the classes you've taken to the GEs that we have here at UCI. And then we'll let you know if there are any GE classes that you still need to complete when you're a student here.
Okay, Brandon has a question. The IGATE, it will cover, well, maybe it's easier if I just said what it doesn't cover. It will not cover upper division writing, and it will not cover our school requirement of math and computer technology. So again, that's pretty much the gist of the IGATE. So just do what Kurt said and make sure that you do request from your community college the full IGATE. And I'm just trying to think, maybe we can just plow through quickly those IGATE questions. Joanna has a question about the deadline for IGATE. Joanna, the IGATE isn't really used for admissions purposes. So, you know, if for some reason your community college is like, sorry, I can't get that right away, that's okay. It's really more that we're using it for the purpose of your degree audit and for your graduation requirements, and to ensure that, you know, you are really well ahead in terms of the general education requirements. So if by chance, you know, you can't meet that 7/1 deadline, don't fret over it. Just make sure you do get it as soon as possible though. And do make sure, I know Kurt covered it a few times, that your community college really does do your IGATE. I've had so many students, I mean, even at the moment of trying to certify their degrees for graduation, that their community college, all they keep doing is sending me an official transcript. And I've literally have had to tell students like, here's what I got. So make sure that, you know, you don't have to pay again, or make sure that they really do what you've asked, you know, your full IGATE certification, or in some cases for some of you all, it might be a partial, but do make sure that your community college does do that correctly. I just saw another one. Which email does a counselor send the UC IGATE? Megan, the best thing would be to send it to admissions. It's just not going to be a part of your 7/1 deadline, because again, your IGATE isn't a part of, it may not be a part of like your official transcript. You know, if when you're asking for it, you know, some community colleges embed it into the transcript. If they do, that's great. It may make it to that 7/1, but if it's a separate form, as we've seen multiple times from some of the community college, you know, don't worry about that. It just send it to admissions. But, you know, for the purposes of everything as a new student, everything goes to admissions.
Oh, this is another like July 1 deadline question. So my community college is on a quarter system and we end in late June. What happens if we're unable to meet the July 1 deadline for admissions documents?
I would say on that is that definitely communicate with your application portal, right? Because that's the best way to ensure that, you know, you can say when your transcripts are supposed to be arriving, and then they can advise you on like what the possibilities are and what's going to be happening. For anything related to like the transcripts, things like that, always communicate with UCI admissions directly, because they're the ones handling those. But yeah, go back in your applicant portal. You can pose a question in there, and then one of the admissions counselors can actually help you out with that as well, give you more specific information.
And it also just shows as proof that you've actually, been proactive and there is correspondence and stuff. So do exactly as Kurt said.
Yeah, always better to over communicate when it comes to stuff like this than not communicate at all. Because then at least we have a record that you've been trying to get your stuff.
I mean, and we know what colleges are,
Yeah.
Quarter system, but it's always just best to just do as Kurt said, just send a message and just reiterate that, you are at a quarter community college.
Okay, so.
And I'm like, have we gotten through?
Yeah, hang on. Okay. So then I think, there's one about registering for transfer.
But I'm thinking maybe at the end, do that towards maybe we cover that at the end and stuff.
Sure.
So let's start kind of getting into it. So.
Right. So Yusuf is asking if we want to petition for a course we took at community college that used to meet a specific major requirement, but doesn't anymore. So I'm guessing in assist, then how can we go about that process?
Yusuf, I'm not quite sure what that course is, but whatever it is, I mean, you will communicate with the advisor that will be sending you out your information about what courses to enroll into, and then that would be a great time. It could just be a simple thing that we just have to do something on our end. It isn't anything, like elaborate in terms of petitioning or anything like that. So just don't fret over that. Just wait until you get an email from the full-time advisor about what courses we're giving you credit for and what is your course enrollment suggestion. And at that time, that would be a perfect time to start then that dialogue.
Okay, so Lynn is asking, in the case that a student wants to go to grad school, is it better to major in the BS Psych instead of the BA Psych major?
Lynn, if you want to go into grad school, it really doesn't matter, because keep in mind, before the BS in Psych, all we've ever had was a BA in psychology, and we've had many students of ours go on to graduate school. So it really doesn't matter. It's honestly, if you want a little bit more flexibility, as Kurt went over, the BA in Psych allows a little bit more flexibility in terms of some of the courses that you select from. Whereas the BS in Psych has a couple of courses that are very specific. So I would say, depending on the graduate program you want to attend, that could maybe make a difference. If they say, oh, maybe you should take, I'm just going to come up with something. Yeah. More courses in blah, you might find like, maybe the BS in Psych has a little bit more of that. But, the bottom line is, if it's a grad school that's like a PhD type program, then I would say it really doesn't matter. Either one will get you there. What I would suggest that you do is definitely embrace taking more math than possible, than maybe what you've already completed. And also think about doing a 1-year sequence of research methods. Because of the fact that, graduate school is all about doing research and quantitative skills. And so if that's, where you're leaning towards more on that PhD level, then that's what I would say. If you're thinking I want to do more like PsyD, something like that, it probably would be just fine if you wanted to do a BA in Psych, or if you haven't considered, the School of Social Ecology, if you're looking more for counseling or clinical type programs. Hopefully that works.
Okay, so we have a couple questions about the differences between the 3 majors. So Amanda's asking what the main difference is between the 3 psych majors, and is it easy to change? And like, where would they start if they wanted to change from BA Psych to either BS Psych or Cog Sci?
I wouldn't say it's easy, because there are certain change of major requirements, as Kurt went over, that you would want to go onto that change of major website to read. Really, let's just start from the beginning. What's the differences? The BA in Psych, as I said, is very general. It's a general type of a psychology program. It's kind of, when you look at all colleges and it's like psychology and stuff, like that's kind of what that is. The BA in Psychology is truly not indicative of what our faculty in the Department of Cognitive Sciences does. And that's why they created the BS in Psychology, and more so the BS in Cognitive Sciences. So we are actually working towards phasing out the BA in Psychology in about 2 years. And if you are looking to earn a Bachelor of Arts in an area of psychology, then the School of Social Ecology is also another option to you. In terms of the ease of moving amongst it, again, it's change of major requirements, and it's also different degree requirements. So I think you should probably start doing your homework now and looking at the requirements and what is it that you wish to do. As transfer students, you're coming in and you really are given, hitting the ground running. And you only have a maximum of 9 quarters of attendance that you can do at UCI. If you are on financial aid, you want to also ensure that you have 9 quarters of eligible aid. So, 3 years is the maximum that you can be at UCI. So I would say just kind of looking and, seeing what is it that I want to do in psychology, or what do I hope to do in the Department of Cognitive Sciences? What's maybe my long-term goals, or, does it align with the faculty in terms of what their research area is? I don't know if you guys want to chime in with anything more.
I mean, I feel like you covered a lot of it. There's kind of like another question I feel like that goes along with
Yeah,
that.
no, of course.
Yeah.
So Sandy's asking, I want to graduate fast, but I'm interested in changing to a BS major. Is that possible? Could I do it in 2 years, or would it have to be 3 years?
Sandy, I think your
Yeah.
question is, fast is a relative term, right? It really depends on where you're coming from and courses and, what you're coming in at. We can't really tell you how fast you can graduate and how many quarters. It's different for every student. But I would say, rather than worrying about how fast you can graduate, is doing the correct things to get your courses in an appropriate manner, right? Because it's not a speed, right? It's not a test of speed to get through your degree. You want to make sure you're doing the right courses, you're in the right major. But the Bachelor of Science in Psychology major does have more requirements than our BA in Psychology major does. That is going to take longer. So, you may not be able to get that done in 2 years if that's your ultimate goal. Our BA in Psychology, possibly you can get that done in 2 years because it's less courses, and you may have already had some other courses transferring in for that. But as far as, when you get your evaluation from one of our advisors with a degree check, that's going to show what you have credit for right now. And that'll kind of shed some light on how many courses you have in your major right now. So if you're coming in as a BA Psychology major, you're going to be able to see how many courses you have left starting with the fall quarter. If you decide you want to change into BS Psych major, without knowing where you're coming from and what classes, I would count on at least being there for part of that 3rd year, especially if you need more of the science courses that you haven't already completed. So that's what's going to add some courses to that as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, our next question is from Connie, and she's asking, for the BA Psych major, since it's getting phased out, what happens if you don't finish by spring 2024?
Connie, then we would give you maybe until the summer of 2024. But if you have a ton of requirements still because you just chose to not make progress in your major, you're going to be needing to change your major out of that BA, because there will be no more BA in psychology. So hopefully that is not your situation, and that you either are able to finish by spring or, worst case, summer of 24. But we will not be going beyond that.
Okay. Oh, so I've seen this question come up a couple times, so I'm going to answer it real fast. Amanda's asking, I didn't indicate that I'm interested in changing my major. Do I email you if I want to change? So for BA Psych majors, we actually just sent out a separate Google form to all of you the other day that was asking you if you have any interest in changing your major to either the BS Psych or the BS Cog Sci. We know that we already asked you for those that filled out the transfer registration form already, but we want to be absolutely sure so that we're advising you properly, so you're going into your fall quarter taking the right classes. So if you haven't filled out that Google form, please check your email. It was sent to your personal email, the one that you used in your UC application. So double check for that. It would have come from our transfer admin at socsci.uci.edu email address. And so please fill that out if you haven't done that already. Even if you're planning on staying in the BA Psych major, still fill that form out so we know that you have confirmed for sure that you want to stay in that major. If you already submitted it, said you wanted to do the BA Psych major, but have now changed your mind and you want to do the BS Psych major or the BS Cog Sci major, that's okay. Just send an email to that transfer admit email address and say, wait, I changed my mind, and we'll update your answer for you. So yeah, for anyone that has that question, hopefully that has answered that for you.
I say we answer Marina's question because that's usually a very a stressful question, maybe for the transfer students. So Marina, at your community college, you could have fulfilled our math requirement for the BA in psychology with taking one approved semester of calculus plus one semester of approved statistics. Or for those coming from the quarter, it would be the 2 quarters of calculus plus the quarter of statistics. If all that you took was 1 semester of statistics, then you can use that at UCI in conjunction with our calculus, Math 2A, Math 2B, or you begin a whole sequence of statistics at UCI. So in the BA in psychology, that sequence could be social science, 10 A, B, and C. And so that would be a fall, winter, and spring. So a 1-year commitment in terms of the courses. So again, when we email you your course evaluation in terms of what you've taken at your community college to the UCI requirements, you will see what we have given you credit for, and then see also our course suggestions for you. And then if you've got any further questions, again, you can open that dialogue with that advisor that emails you.
And also to add on to that, keep in mind too, that if you're applying for the BA Psych major and you want to do calculus, there is a placement, option of that you have to actually place into it. So if you haven't really taken any trig or pre-calculus at your previous school, there's a good chance that you'll have to take kind of prerequisite courses before you get to math 2A and 2B. So that's something to consider as well, because you might need to do more math courses than just the 2A and 2B.
That's a good point, because UCI will not accept any pre-calculus courses taken off the UCI campus. So you will have to either place, you'd have to place directly. If all you were trying to do is 2A, 2B, you'd have to place directly into Math 2A in terms of the placement. But some students could place, into Math 1B. So that's the second part of pre-calculus. And so then you would do Math 1B plus Math 2A plus Math 2B. For some students, they could start at the very beginning of pre-calculus, which is Math 1A. So that's almost 4 courses, rather than doing like 3 courses of statistics, for instance, for a year.
Similar math question.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, asking if it's possible to take calculus at a community college to fulfill the math requirement.
It could be possible, Jason, to fulfill that, but in terms of how many units you transfer to UCI, you may not get any more units. So it could be that you can take it, but worst case, we would just give you what we call subject credit. So you take that semester of math, and then we give you credit for it because you already have that semester of statistics. So again, the maximum number of transferable units is 70 semester for 105 quarter units. So if you're going to hit that without taking this extra calculus, then just know we would just give you what we call subject credit, but it's still okay.
Okay, any other math questions?
I know.
While we're on the topic.
I know, I was trying to see you as well. I feel like everybody else is like very patient waiting for their questions.
For everyone who's asking about the transfer advising process, thank you for being patient. We will get to those questions at the end. We just want to make sure we get through the major requirement questions first.
I would say Cynthia has a question about the transfer edge. Ideally, Cynthia, you would want to wait to just see kind of what some of recommendations are. But for the most part, it's probably safe to say you could take something like Psych 9B, with your transfer edge summer program, because Psych 9B is a course that all of the Psych transfer students would be taking on the UCI campus. So, if your enrollment deadline for the transfer summer edge program is upcoming, or let's say next week or something like that, then I would say, just go at least with Psych 9B. So that way you'll at least have that done over the summer.
The other thing that you can do, Cynthia, is if you're interested in participating in Transfer Edge, we do have an interest form that you can fill out. So if you email that fund transfer admit email address, we'll send you the link to that form. And an advisor will take a look at your transcripts that we have so far and let you know what would be the best classes to take for your major. And also clear you for anything, because sometimes summer classes have prerequisites, so we'll do that for you as well. Okay, Maria has a question about if it's possible to minor or double major in a non-cognitive science major, and would they have to complete that major or minor at the same time they complete the BA Psych major?
So Maria, it definitely is possible to do a major outside of any of our psychology majors. Again, it goes back to time frame, right? I mean, as far as how long you have at UCI and how long it takes you to complete either another minor or double major. You would have to first meet the requirements to get into that particular major, and it's going to be a series of courses and GPA requirements, so that you have to account for that time frame, and then whatever additional requirements it is outside of that. So if it's outside of the School of Social Sciences, you're going to want to, once fall quarter rolls around, speak to that academic unit and see what their requirements are to see if you do have the time to do it. And you do have to graduate with both degrees simultaneously in the same quarter. So you wouldn't be able to graduate with one and then be certified and then come back for another one. So that's going to factor into your decision as well too. Can you get both of those done and be certified within the 9 quarters that you have as a transfer student?
The other thing about double majors that you have to be careful with, especially if you're looking at double majors outside of social sciences, is that most other schools have school requirements that you have to complete as well, the same way social sciences has like those 3 quarters of math and the computer tech. Some other schools have extensive school requirements that you have to meet as well. Like School of Humanities, you have to take 2 years of a language other than English, which sometimes trips people up, especially incoming transfer students. So it's very important to contact, especially if you're thinking double major, like not so much for a minor, but for double major, for you to reach out to the advisors in that school to really get a sense of what their the full picture of what their requirements are. And they can, even take a look at what transfer courses you've already taken, and if you've made progress already, and if they think that that would be doable for you. Because we are pretty knowledgeable about our own majors, and we have a little knowledge about other schools and their majors, but you really want to go to their advisors for the expert opinion on if it's doable or not.
And in terms of minoring, Maria, it's, once okay, forget the double major, I think I'll just do a minor, you would just contact our office, and eventually all of your guys' coursework would go into what we call degree work. So it's your online audit. We would just add that to your online audit. And then that way, then that's how you would formally declare, and that's how you would see your progress in that minor. And sometimes we have students that are like, yeah, I was super gung-ho and I wanted to do this minor. And then, as time goes, they're like, yeah, I'm so not over it now. I don't want to do the minor. You just contact us, and just as easy as we put it on, just as easy to remove it. So it is totally not a problem at all.
Yeah, minors are very chill. Double majors have all these hoops you have to jump through, but minors are very just let us know you want it and we'll put it on your degree work.
Maria has questions about the other advisors. Maria, depending upon what that other major is, assuming it's outside of the School of Social Sciences, you can already go on to that change of major website. I don't know if one of you wants to put in the chat again. Yeah. You can go to that change of major website and just kind of look to see, what are the requirements to declare that double. No one's going to approve a double major right now, because y'all haven't really officially started yet and haven't have a UC or UCI GPA yet. So no one's going to approve it yet, but you can see what those requirements are. And you can also, go onto the UCI general catalog and just kind of see what degree requirements are listed, just to kind of get a feel for, what another academic unit may have in terms of that major requirement, and possibly even, as Sarah was saying, their academic unit requirement.
But yeah, generally advisors from other units probably aren't going to talk to you until after September 1st, because they're all busy doing their own transfer and freshman advising. So
everyone is very busy right now, because
yes.
We just ended finals. We've got final grades due. We have to still certify degrees. We all have new students coming. So it's a pretty chaotic time in all of the academic units. So we're all trying to just stay patient and calm and breathe.
Okay, I think the only questions that we have left are more of the administrative ones currently.
Yeah,
okay.
You go ahead and you answer everything.
All right. So the first question is from Nathan, who's asking about registering for transfer advising. So you should have received an email from our office asking you to fill out a Google form. So we sent the initial email between sometime during May or early June, and we just sent a reminder email. As I said, at this point in time, those initial emails have been going to your personal email address that you used in your UC application, and they're coming from that transfer admit email address. So please check out those emails. Maybe check your spam or junk mail folder if you haven't seen it in your inbox. But it should contain a link to a Google form. You'll fill out that form and upload your unofficial transcripts. And that is kind of our key to then send you the link to the Canvas course that you'll need to complete. So you'll need to do a course through Canvas after you've signed up for your transfer advising using the registration form. As long as you get that Canvas course done before the 24th, that is your key then to be emailed your fall course recommendations and have your academic hold lifted. So it's kind of a process. So it starts with that registration form. Then you do Canvas, and then as long as you finish Canvas by the deadline, an advisor will reach out to you via email, this time to your UCI email address. And we will give you those fall course recommendations, the degree check sheet for your new major that has the evaluation of your transfer coursework, as well as personalized recommendations for your fall classes. And at the time you receive that email, then you can go ahead and enroll in your classes for fall quarter. So I will also put the link to our new students page in the chat, and the new students page has the same information as well as a link to that Google registration form. So if for whatever reason you can't find that email that was sent to you, just go to this website and follow all of the steps on the website, and that will help you sign up for transfer advising and get all of your steps done as well. Okay, so Alan's asking about the Google form that we sent to the BA Psych majors, asking about a change of major. So that is just for BA Psych for the summer to know like what you might be interested in if you're interested in either the BS Psych or the BS Cog Sci, so that we can do an evaluation for both majors for you. So you can decide like, yes, I want to pursue the BS Psych instead, or the BS Cog Sci instead, or no, I want to stay with my BA Psych major, and to help give you a good idea of what you want to enroll in for fall quarter to make progress towards one of those majors. If you're interested in changing out of BA Psych and out of social sciences into another school, generally speaking, you are going to have to wait until fall quarter. Most schools are not accepting change of majors during the summer. A few of them are. If you already have access to the Canvas course, then in the change of major section of the Canvas course, it actually lists which schools are accepting change of major requests for summer and how to contact them to talk about doing a change of major. If they're not listed in that part of the Canvas course, that means they're not accepting change of majors during the summer, but they may possibly accept them later on as long as you meet their change of major requirements. So this isn't like the end of the story. Like if you change your mind and you want to change to something else later on, that's fine. This is purely for like summer advising right now. So yeah, if you do have questions or you indicated to us that you want to change to a major outside of social sciences, we can talk to you a little bit more about that when we send you your fall course recommendations. Okay, and our last question is from Morgan, and she's asking when and how can you contact an academic advisor about planning what classes you should or would like to take. So Morgan, as I mentioned for summer and for this fall quarter specifically, you're going to get your fall course recommendations emailed to you as long as you've completed your Canvas course. At that point, if you still have questions about your fall course recommendations or the major requirements for your major, you can either send an email to the advisor that sent you your course recommendations, because it'll be like one of us specifically that emails you. You can email transfer admit, or we're hoping to have some Zoom drop-in hours with our PAAs around the same time that you all will be enrolling in your classes, so that like end of June, early July time. And as Kurt mentioned, our peer academic advisors are current UCI students that have been trained to advise their peers. And so they know all about like, you know, fall classes and all of that good stuff, how to enroll, major and minor requirements, policies, procedures. So if you find you have questions, we'll be publishing information on how to sign up for those Zoom sessions later on. And you'll get an email about that once we have like specific days and times that those drop-ins will be happening. Then in fall quarter, if you have questions, we will be doing Zoom appointments at that point, one-on-one. So later on in fall, you know, if you have questions about like your winter quarter schedule, or you want to go over an academic plan for the rest of your time at UCI, we're happy to have those appointments with you. We're just not doing one-on-one appointments during the summer. Okay, I feel like that. Whew, we made it. That was a lot of questions. Okay, so Joanna's asking about submitting the registration form and unofficial transcripts by the 18th. So Joanna, you actually upload the transcripts as part of the form. So that Google registration form, the very last question, it asks you to upload a PDF of your transcripts. So that's how you would submit them. If for whatever reason you have an issue with that, because some students have had issues with the file type or things like that. So if you absolutely cannot upload your transcripts, you can fill out the registration form and then send your official transcripts to that transfer admit email address. That's fine too. All right, so do we have any other questions? We'll do like a last call for questions, and then if we don't get any more, we'll wrap up the session. So yeah, so last call, submit your questions now. Or they may never be answered.
Or they'll just email transfer admin.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome, Joanna. Thank you for coming out today to listen to our live presentation.
Thank you, Cynthia. You're very welcome.
Yes,
Welcome to
very
UCI.
You have to learn your zot too, like in the photos.
Thank you, Marina. Honestly, I think this is the first session that we've had so many thank yous. So
I know.
nice.
No, very much appreciated.
I know. These psych students, they just know how to, get everybody's moods up. Thank you, Connie. Clearly they can sense that, this positive reinforcement stuff is appreciated. Holden, why are you in this session? You're
Yeah, I know,
supposed to
you
be at PSI. How many times have I emailed you? Oh
so
my
yeah.
goodness, Holden, yes.
Please email School of Social Ecology to sign up for their orientation.
Oh my God,
I'm
are you
sorry they're not
kidding?
getting back to you.
I told you to email Alejandra. She didn't get back to you?
Oh.
Yikes. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh my God. All right, Holden, I'm offline. I will email you my counterpart, the director of social ecology, and maybe even Jamie. I'm not really sure, honestly, who over there is doing their sessions. Clearly not on top of it as Sarah and Kurt. I didn't say that. Well, I guess I did, right? Because it's recorded. Thanks, Holden. But I'll go ahead and I will email you 2 other names and hope we get somebody for you. I'll even maybe throw in a third.
We'll just CC the entire
I know,
office for you, and hopefully someone will reply.
Exactly.
You're bound to get some reply from
I know.
somebody.
I'm going to go so that way I can
Okay.
send that email really quickly to him. Thank you.
Good. Oh, okay, Kurt, I thought you were freezing for a second, but I think
Oh.
we're okay.
Was I just that good where I froze them all?
Oh, it might be my internet telling me that it's time for us to end the session. Okay, so yeah, thank you everybody again for joining us, and thank you for a very lively Q&A session. It's always a lot more fun when we have a lot of questions from everybody. So if you still have questions, please email us at that transferadmin@soxi.eci.edu email address. We're here all summer to answer questions for you. And yeah, for those that haven't filled out that registration form, please get on that because that's a big help to us and a big help to you to get you started. If you have and you're working through your Canvas modules, that's great. Like keep working on those. If you've already done everything and finished your Canvas, then we will be reaching out to you between June 28th and July 8th with your course recommendations and helping you to get enrolled for fall quarter. And yeah, welcome to UCI. Thanks for being here today.
Definitely. And then remember too that we actually don't start our quarter until the end of September. So if you're not used to the quarter system, you're going to get used to it. But we start at the end of September, and then we have our 3 quarters, fall, winter, and spring. So you have some extended time here to enjoy your summer and get ready to go for fall quarter.
All right. We'll see you guys in fall.
Bye.